Hello YouTube, this is the Magnum94 here, and over the past few weeks, I've had this craving for DC animation. I don't really know why, but after finishing the Justice League Unlimited TV show, I just had this craving for other DC animation. And so over the past 2 weeks or so, I've watched Superman, Batman, Public Enemies, Batman Assault on Arkham, Justice League Doom, and Batman Under the Red Hood. And even though I knew that DC was really good at making animation, I've known that ever since watching the Batman animated series, Superman animated series, Young Justice, Justice League show, Teen Titans, etc. I realized that after watching these movies, they are really, really good at making animation. Like, I'd say that these are some of the best superhero movies I've ever seen, period. Which got me thinking, why is there this perceived value in the community for live action movies? Like, everyone are raving about, oh, these characters and storylines are gonna be on the big screen live action. But I'm just thinking, like, why do these characters and stories have to be on the big screen in live action? Why isn't animation good enough? And in my opinion, why do people think live action is better? I personally think that animation is better than anything live action could ever do. Now, if you have a different opinion, that's fine, but I'm going to give my answer as to why I feel animation, at least for superheroes, is a better way to portray these characters. Now, animation, I feel, deals with it. It rights the flaws that live action superhero movies generally have, or at least seem to have. Like, whenever a superhero movie is announced, people are always wondering, oh, who's gonna play these characters? And then generally people get upset when the casting just isn't to their liking. Like with Batman v Superman. People were up in arms saying, oh, I'm not going to watch this movie just because Jesse Eisenberg is Lex Luthor and Ben Affleck can't play Batman. He was terrible as Deadpool, which that was true. And I can't deny that Jesse Eisenberg is not my personal choice for Lex Luthor, but he's casted, whatever. And I personally feel that Ben Affleck might be a decent Batman. From what I've seen of him in the trailers, he's been fine, I guess. The voice, I don't really feel like it needs to be as electronic. I don't understand that. I think he could do a decent Batman voice on his own, but that's beside the point. The point is that with animation, the casting, it doesn't matter as much as live action. For all these live animated movies, you just have to listen to their voice. If you don't like the voice, that's one thing. But if you don't like the voice for a live action movie, you also have to deal with the face, which you probably don't like either. See, for animation, these characters are going to be portrayed the best they possibly could be based on their comic books. So you don't have to worry about the actor not looking like Batman or not looking like Wonder Woman or whoever. So that's one thing. Another thing that I personally feel that animation generally does better than live action is the action. The action in animation is more flashy, more fast-paced, and they can do much more feasible moves and camera angles and stuff like that. Like, when you watch a Batman movie or animation or animated TV show, whatever, what are some of the things you think of? Like, whenever I think of Batman, I think of him jumping between enemy, knocking people out left and right, throwing batarangs, dropping those little pellets that explode, doing like crazy acrobatics, him and Nightwing doing like team attacks, like stuff like that. It just isn't really feasible with live action. For example, we have Christian Bale's Batman. When he was doing action scenes, it just kind of felt to me like he was just kind of like flailing around a bit and just kind of hitting people. I mean, it looked kind of cool sometimes, but generally it was very stiff, not fast at all. It wasn't boring by any means. It was still Batman doing things, but I felt like if it just didn't hold a candle to anything that an animated Batman has ever done. Like, for example, in the Under the Red Hood movie, him and Nightwing took, for spoilers by the way, in the opening, him and Batman take down Amazo in one of the most, and it was pretty impressive. Like, Batman throws a batarang around, they show it, like, turning, coming back, hitting in the back, exploding. They both shoot their bat grapples kind of next to him and then zoom in and punch him in slow motion. And then it ended in Amazo flying up with Nightwing on his back. He stabs him in the ears, he falls, and then Batman puts putty in his eyes and it explodes. Like, all of that isn't really feasible with live action unless you want to CGI the crap out of it, which, what's the point of that point? Like, if it's superhero movies, you go there to see the characters and you go there to see the action. And when I personally feel that animation does this situation better, like they portray the characters as they would be in the comics, and the action is just overall better, I don't understand personally why animation isn't the primary format for these superhero movies. I can understand why live action movies are cool and all. I don't understand why people feel like live action movies are just better than animated movies. And another thing that I don't really understand is why there's this stigma that, oh, these characters haven't been portrayed in the big screen ever, like Wonder Woman and Aquaman and Deadpool and people like that. Oh, people are freaking out that these characters are finally going to be on the big screen when they've been animated and portrayed in these animations perfectly, as they would be in their comic book for over 20 years plus, some of them. So I don't understand why it's such a big deal that these characters are finally in a live-action movie when they're being portrayed and acted better in animation. I mean, and for most of the time, the actor or actresses that they get to play these characters, like Wonder Woman, the fans generally don't even like. Like when Gal Gadot, I think it's her name, was casted as Wonder Woman, people didn't like it because she didn't look like Wonder Woman. Whereas the Wonder Woman from the Justice League show has portrayed Wonder Woman as Wonder Woman for nearly 20 years now. Maybe 15 or so. I just don't understand why. I just don't understand why it's such a big deal that these characters are finally going to be live action. And a couple more things. Live action movies tend to be faster to make, mostly because since they are more fast paced and they kind of take this movie as, what am I trying to say? DC generally makes these movies as if you already understand and know these characters, because they've made so many of these over the 30 years probably that they've been making animated specials and movies and TV shows, that they don't have to take time into origin stories and fluff that you don't really need. They just get right to the point, get right to the action. So they're faster to make. They don't have to be 2.5 hour movies. They can be an hour and a half and be just fine. Of course, if they did have a bigger budget, I'm sure they could work in it and make it longer. Like the Under the Red Hood movie, that's only an hour 15 minutes. I felt like it was perfectly paced. I didn't feel like it needed to be any longer. I didn't feel like it should have been any shorter. There was no fluff. Everything was really, really good about that movie because of the length. If it had been any longer, I think it just would have added nothing. It wouldn't really added anything. It would have just been more fluff that didn't really need to be there. It got right to the point and went through the story like it should have been. So if these movies had slightly bigger budget, yeah, they would take slightly longer to make, but we wouldn't be waiting like 3-4 years just for a sequel to some of these characters. Like, now we're going to have Batman v Superman and Suicide Squad, which is basically a spin-off movie, in the same year. Like, with animation, you could have three big budget Justice League movies in the same year. Have a Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman movie all in the same year, and then next year have a Justice League movie, or even 2 Justice League movies. Like, there's so many stories to be told that you don't have to limit yourself just to one movie per year. And then continue to expand on these characters, which a lot of people already know. And if they basically format these movies as if you already know the characters like they do in the animated movies, you wouldn't have to take time into establishing their character because all these people already know them. And if they don't, then that's kind of their fault because they've been around for, like I said, like 20 plus years. So you should probably already know these characters. And I'm sure with the first movies, they could take some time into developing their characters, like have Batman's backstory, show what happened to Superman, but you don't have to waste time and money that you would for a live action movie just to show that. It'd be much more fast paced and much faster to make for sure. And my last point is almost every live action movie that's being made already has, at least for the most part, already has an animated counterpart that, in my opinion, is probably going to be better. I'm not saying that the Batman v Superman movie is going to be bad, but because of all the aspect that people are upset about, Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor, Ben Affleck being a questionable Batman, Wonder Woman not living up to the standards of Wonder Woman, the story might being a little too much, what with Doomsday in it, just kind of shoved in there in a Batman v Superman movie. I just feel like the Batman v Superman animated movie was already really, really good. So why do they have to remake it in live action? Why is that such a big deal? Same with the Under the Red Hood storyline. It's rumored that the standalone Batman movie is going to basically be Under the Red Hood, just in live action form. But why is that necessary when we already have an Under the Red Hood movie, an animated movie, that's really, really good, and in my opinion, there's not much they could really add to it to make it much better, considering how good the Under the Red Hood movie is, in my opinion. Like, the action can't be much better. Like I said, you can't really... The action with live action, just isn't as feasible and just generally as good as animated movies. And I'm sure it's gonna be a good movie. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure it's gonna be pretty good. But will it really add anything to the whole Under the Red Hood storyline that the Under the Red Hood animated movie didn't already do? Now, I do understand that a lot of these movies, a lot of the animated movies, people just haven't seen, which is why they feel the need to put these storylines on the big screen. But why does that need to happen? Why couldn't these animated movies already be bigger budget animated movies on the big screen? Why did they have to be direct-to-DVD and TV specials? I just kind of wish that, like I've said, I just kind of wish that live action wasn't the be-all, end-all, this is the best thing ever for a superhero. Especially, I know I keep repeating myself, but I just want to drive the point, especially since these characters are already portrayed so well in their animated state. Now, if any of this makes sense to any of you, please let me know in the comment section below. And if you feel like live action movies are generally better, please tell me. I want to have a conversation about this. And also, please tell me what storylines and what movies in animation you feel need to be made. I'm so excited for the Killing Jokes movie, which is coming out next year, I think. 2017, I think, yeah. I'm so excited for that, especially since Mark Hamill's coming back. Oh, and that's another thing. The The characters in the animated movies, they already have established voices that are these characters, like Kevin Conroy and Tim Daly as Batman and Superman. These characters, these people are these characters. So you don't even have to really find new casting, or if you do, just train people to voice match these guys, like they did with Troy Baker for Mark Hamill's Joker. People won't be upset that the people playing these characters aren't living up to their standards, because they already have established voices for them. So, yeah, please tell me in the comment section below what your favorite anime movie is. If there's anything you're excited about in the live action scene or animated scene, and just yeah. I lost my train of thought for a second. So with that being said, see ya.